Slavery is back. The British political, corporate and media establishment is now enslaved by a new political mania, the politics of identity. Even top Tories have cringed before hard-left cultural Marxists obsessed with race, gender and sexuality and allowed them to dictate political debate. How pathetic. Today our history, identity and culture is being held to ransom by the hard-left Black Lives Matter movement, yet real slavery exists in the world today. The Atlantic slave trade was wholly immoral. All slavery is. Sadly, slavery has been a constant throughout all human civilizations for thousands of years. But it's only the Atlantic slave trade, lasting a mere 200 years, for which an entire people alive today have to atone for the sins of their ancestors. A fact that the Black Lives Matter won't tell you is there were more white slaves bought and sold in North Africa than blacks transported to America. The Arab slave trade started in the 9th century and continues to this day. Christians were enslaved for 700 years in Islamic Spain. European slaves were still bought and sold in the Ottoman Empire for decades after African Americans were freed in the United States. Have their descendants taken the knee? And how was that freedom won? How was slavery eradicated throughout much of the world? Well, I'll tell you how, by Britain, by us. We banned the international slave trade in 1833 and the Royal Navy forcibly put Atlantic slavers out of business. Today their descendants are slandered as far-right racists with white privilege who need to accept their collective guilt for the state of the planet before 1865. The United Nations has urged us to, quote, confront the legacy of slavery by paying reparations to the descendants of enslaved peoples. All right, well, I call on the governments of Turkey, Algeria, Tunisia and Libya to begin the process of confronting their historical slave practices by paying reparations to the United Kingdom, whose ancestors were enslaved and brutalised by their people. After all, fair is fair. Or we could handle this rationally. Why doesn't Black Lives Matter turn its attention to the 9 million black men, women and children enslaved in Africa today? If Black Lives Matter, and they do, surely freeing millions of currently enslaved black people is more important than defunding the police or destroying capitalism. The fact that Black Lives Matter isn't interested in liberating modern-day black slaves or confronting human rights outrages in Zimbabwe or Venezuela or China tells you all you need to know. Their founders are self-proclaimed trained Marxists and their followers are cultural vandals.